Hello everybody. Today I'm going to convince you that climate change is real using these questions that I will answer, and I'm going to convince you that climate change is real and it's affecting everybody every single day of their lives. Alrighty, so question number 1 asks, what are the differences between global warming, global climate change, and global change? So climate change is changes that occur in the chemical, biological, and physical properties of the planet. Global climate change refers to changes in the average weather that occurs in an area over a period or years or decades. Global warming is specific aspects of climate change, the warming of oceans, land masses, and atmospheric of Earth. Alrighty, so question number 2. What is the greenhouse effect and why should I care? Or more importantly, why should you care? So, greenhouse gas effect is, so basically there's a process that occurs with the sun and the atmosphere. So basically the sun, it produces what's it called? UV radiation into the planet, and it passes through, and then it basically bounces off of the surface of the Earth and goes back, and then some of it goes back out into outer space, but some of it stays in the planet's, like inside the planet's atmosphere, as infrared radiation, also known as heat. So basically, the Earth is getting warmer because a lot of greenhouse gases are being released into the atmosphere, causing more infrared heat to be trapped in the planet, and less being able to go out back into space. So that is the greenhouse effect, and that's basically what's causing a big portion of global warming on planet Earth. Number 3, what are greenhouse gases and where do they come from? So, greenhouse gases come from a lot of things. Sorry, I messed up, but I'll keep on going though. Okay, so basically, greenhouse gases are basically gases that are, natural in the Earth, in the atmosphere. And the most common greenhouse gases are H2O, methane, CO2, N2O, ozone, and CFCs. And most, like I said, most naturally come from, they're natural in the atmosphere, but a lot of them are actually being released by us humans. Number 4, if greenhouse gases are natural, why should I care about them? Well, let me tell you why. Because a lot of the greenhouse gases that are being released into the atmosphere are not naturally supposed to be there. So we're adding more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which is causing a lot of the UV / infrared radiation to leave through the atmosphere again, and it's causing a lot of it's causing global warming, which can potentially affect a lot of people here in the world and any living organism. And number 5, how do humans supposedly contribute to global climate change? So basically, like I stated earlier, a lot of humans, including me, including everybody, whether they know it or not, release greenhouse gases back into the atmosphere, which is affecting, the world. Alright, number 6. How do we measure the increase in CO2 concentration in the air? So what Charles David Keeling did was measure the difference between years, but then realized that the CO2 fluctuate throughout the season, so he did it per month, so for a couple of years, and that's basically how he measured the CO2 in the world, well, in a specific area of the world. So basically, since it fluctuates through each season, he measured it per season, the CO2 per season, for a couple of years to measure the CO2 of the world. Alright, number 7. How do CO2 emissions differ between nations, and why is the USA the best? Because the US has more CO2 per person, meaning that more people per ton of CO2. So basically, we still emit CO2, but we have more. We try to have that same amount of CO2 per more people. So essentially, we're reducing the amount of CO2 we use per person, which is a lot better than a lot of other places in the world. Alright, number 8. If we only have records since 1880, how do we even know that how the climate looked in the past? So basically, what we do in the recent years, well, since 1880, we've been recording, a lot of different things like temperature, CO2, a lot of different factors like weather and everything. And so we basically put it in a computer that generates a graph, shows the different changes in temperature and in the world. And so from those, from what we have plotted, scientists they can basically make a very, very good educated guess on how climate used to be back in the day. Number 9, scientists are psychics. How do they know about the future? Well, basically the same way how they know how climate used to look. We basically put all the numbers and data we have in the computer, and it generates predictions, and we can see if, from our own knowledge we can judge if it's a good representation of the future in the world. Yep. Number 10. How do positive and negative feedback loops impact climate change? Shouldn't the positive cancel out the negatives? Well, although there are a lot of good things in the positive loop, the negative things still very much affect people. So there can be positive things happening to somebody somewhere in the world, but there'll still be a lot of negative things happening to them through pollution and a lot of things in the positive and negative feedback loop. Number 11. How do these fancy scientists think that the climate change is already affecting water, polar ice, glaciers, permafrost, and sea levels? Well, in the world, a lot of scientists have noticed that up in the north, the permafrost is melting, and basically there's a lot of methane is being released from under the permafrost, which is very much affecting the atmosphere. It's basically, the more it melts, the more methane is emitted into the atmosphere, which is affecting the atmosphere and making even more methane go into the atmosphere. Alright, and that affects sea levels rising because of the ice that's melting from the temperature increase everywhere. Number 12, what evidence do these nerds have that organisms are being affected? Well, let me tell you. So growing seasons for plants is increasing from 4 to 16 days longer in northern hemispheres. So basically, it's taking a longer time for the season to come up, so plants can grow during the time they grow in the seasons, and that's very much a key factor that lets people know that climate change is real. All right. Explain the position on future effects on heat waves, cold spells, precipitation storms, ocean currents, and humans. Well, let me tell you. Heat waves are causing long periods of hot weather. Cold spells are causing minimum temperature to increase. Precipitation patterns are changing. Storms are becoming more intense, but do have various factors. Ocean currents may be altered as well. That all that stuff is happening here in the world, and it's crazy that people don't even realize it. And people don't want to believe that climate change is real, even though it is real. All right, number 14. Why do you think the news portrays climate change as a controversy? So let me tell you why. The news media just wants something to talk for people to fight about. You know, people are always going to have their opinions, even though they have factual evidence of them being wrong or right. They just want something to argue about, basically. And the news media is basically doing that, so they won't go out of business. If there's nothing to talk about, then they're gonna go out of business, and that's not what they want. So they make it a controversy to talk about climate change. Alright, number 15, and this is the final question. What are we doing about all of this? What are the positives and negatives of the Kyoto Protocol? Alright, so basically it's reducing greenhouse gases from industrialized countries by 5.2%, which is doing a really good job, and it's really helping the world out. A lot of people. It's a lot more than a lot of people try to do. Carbon sequestration, which is the process of taking CO2 out of the atmosphere. That's something that the Kyoto Project is doing. It's also heavily regulating the CO2 emissions of countries. Yeah. So I hope this is a lot of information that I gave to you, and hopefully, if you don't believe in climate change, you will believe in it now, because it's a real thing. There's a lot of evidence proving it, and hopefully this video helped you out in any way or form to change your perception on climate change, or to further embed it in your mind that climate change is a real thing and it's affecting everybody in this world. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you have a great day, and peace out.